Reports. How about out at Stockton? Pretty good reports the last couple of days of crappie and walleye starting to show up out there. And for sure, out at Truman Lake, good crappie bets this upcoming weekend. The crappie are definitely in the fall pattern. Fair reports on bass at Bull Shoals and Table Rock. So let's get started.
Fish and Chums!
Let's start at Table Rock. Mixed reports. It's been pretty good fishing. Some nice smallmouth have showed up this week. And they've been using some topwater baits in the morning. Get out there early morning. Some spooks have been working at Table Rock. Also, they've been picking up some fish on top R's and some whopper ploppers. So topwater fishing in early morning hours, first couple hours, hour and a half at Table Rock. And then they've been picking up some fish. The bass are moving, they're in transition right now. Bass are going kind of shallow, deep. If you can find a good bank with a good drop off, jig fishing has been pretty good with brown jigs, ½ ounce. And some people have been picking up some nice fish on rattle traps. I've heard this, and square bill crankbaits. Check this out at Table Rock this weekend. Then mid-morning, get out there on the long runs, go to the same thing, your drop shots. And they've been picking up some fish on Ned rigs as well. Taneycoma for trout fishing this weekend. Slowed down a little bit, slowed down. Haven't been running a whole lot of water, but the people who have been picking up some fish, if there's no water being run, are going to those light jigs, 32nd. Some people even going to 64th ounce on 2 or 4 pound test line. Seems like cinnamon's been a good color, brown, black. And they have been using the electric motors when they're not running any water and bouncing a pink salmon egg off the bottom, just with a split shot up above it. Small hook, picking up a few trout. But overall, it's been a little slower, but they are still picking up some fish. Out at Bull Shoals, go top water in the morning hours. It seems like your big spooks have been working, and they've been picking up some fish also on top water with pop R's. And they've been picking up some fish on whopper ploppers too. After the sun gets up there, you may want to go, especially if they have some wind, go to spinner baits on the windy banks. That's been picking up some fish. Likewise, over at Table Rock, you find some wind, a little wind this weekend. Don't overlook that spinner bait. And after the sun gets up a little bit, just like like Table Rock, get out there on the long runs, try some Ned rigs, drop shots. And we've had some reports of some square bill crankbaits out at Bull Shoals as well. And so it looks fair this weekend. A few walleye have been showing up at Bull Shoals this last few days as well off the deep water points. Some people have been going shallow though, especially if there's a little overcast and wind on some windy shallow points, 12, 18 feet of water. If not, they've been going a little bit deeper than that, experiment on the depth. But they have been picking up some walleye at Bull Shoals. Over at Stockton, my guys, the people who know what they're doing are really catching fish out there. I want to give a tip of the hat to Tandem Outfitters, that guide service out there. They're always catching fish. They take groups out in the morning, then take other groups out in the afternoon. Some nice limits of crappie being caught. And also Tandem's been picking up some nice walleye this last few days on jerkbaits, silver jerkbaits, I understand. And so if you ever need a good guide outfit out at Stockton, boy, go to Tandem Outfitters. They're great guides. And the crappie are a pretty good bite out there with a jig and minnow. Experiment on your depth. And the walleye, they can be up on the points, jerkbaits. Some people have been using still some night crawlers out there picking up some fish. White bass, haven't heard too much on white bass this last couple of weeks at Stockton. It's really died out. Over at Truman, the crappie are definitely on the fall pattern. They're back in the creek arms. They want to get off the flats of the creek arms, and sometimes they're fishing some of the banks with the brush. And anywhere from 10 to 12, 14 feet of water. Sometimes these fish are right off the bottom. Jig and minnow, jig and shiner combination has been the best bet. And there's been a few hybrids caught out there this week. In fact, I want to go out to Truman at Sam Paxson. He was out a couple days ago, he and his buddy, and picked up a few big hybrids. So the hybrids, don't give up on those. Those things are running. And a few walleye been caught at Truman the last few days off some of the points and the flats. And had a fair report on some catfishing out there. And so Truman looks good, boy, especially for that crappie for the upcoming weekend. And we've had some reports of some nice bass being caught at Truman. Square-billed crankbaits have been working there. Some people pitching jigs, and other people slow-rolling spinnerbaits. So you may want to do this weekend. Truman looks pretty good for the upcoming weekend. Out at let's go to Norfolk. Had some pretty good reports of crappie. That's kind of sparked up the last week or so. Crappie, especially in the man-made, the Fish and Game brush piles out there. I've had some pretty good reports of crappie being caught throughout the lake. So if you want to go crappie fishing, for you folks over around Mountain Home, check out Norfolk and those man-made brush piles. Hey, one tip. We want to leave you with a tip today on today's program. You know, if you haven't been out for 2 or 3, 4 weeks or longer, your rod's been sitting in the corner, I'll tell you a tip that I like to do. I'll take that spool off, take the spool off the reel, go to the kitchen, run some hot water, put that spool under the hot water, get that line all softened up. This will save you a few headaches when you get out on the lake, especially if that rod and reel's been sitting around for a few weeks. It works, I promise you. I want to thank you for being with us on today's program. Be sure to like and share, and of course subscribe. We'd love to have you join us here at the Fish and Chums group. We always have a lot of fun. And if you have any information, be sure to drop us a line at fishandchums@gmail.com. That's a little show for today. God bless you. Get out and get bit this weekend. Talk to you next week. Bye-bye.